Um, Hello and welcome to the second day, everyone. I hope you all got a good night's rest. I know Dubai has a lot to offer. I mean, I lived here a couple years ago and it was pretty great. Um, Mic test. Is this working? Okay, perfect. My name's Wilson, for those of you who haven't met me yet, and I come from Pixels and Metrics. We are a digital services company based in the Philippines. And essentially, our expertise is in web design, social media management, and content creation. However, like some of you from yesterday, we are pretty flexible. If you go onto our website, we have several different services ranging from app development, print media, PR, IT security, the whole nine yards, because we're able to partner with others, collaborate, and be able to deliver more things than we can on our own. With, Without further ado, let's go into the topic we're in here for today, and that is writing for the reader, secrets to people-driven content. Now, I know you're all experts in the field of marketing, so I don't need to teach so much, which is really, really good. You are all maybe even bigger than ourselves, more experienced than my company. However, we'd like to invite you to keep an open mind for our secrets, and maybe you'll learn a thing or two that may spark a new idea, a new innovation in the way you market to your clients or for your clients. So, the presentation is roughly 25 minutes long. I have divided it into three parts: the existential triangle, second, the traditional writing versus the new way of writing, and third, the pixels and metric style. So, for those of you who are not aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's basically leading into the first part. But we don't need to, I think you all know this, so I think we can skip this slide. Is anyone familiar with the movie Collateral Beauty by raise of hands in the audience? Oh, very few. That's surprising. So, Collateral Beauty is a movie starring Will Smith and a few other well known actors. And it's basically about a New York advertising guru, Howard Inlet, who's basically reached the top of the marketing industry. Now, from there, unfortunately, he met a tragic accident or a tragic event in his life, which basically derailed his focus. He lost touch with his business, he lost touch with the people. And the story is basically, to keep things spoiler free, it's basically a story about him reconnecting with people and his business. But at the very beginning of the movie, for those of you who remember, he basically opens addressing his agency on the existential triangle. Now, that triangle is three things: love, death, and time. These three things, these three notions or ideas, are basically the very essence of humanity. As the movie rightly put it, it is everything that connects us on the planet, from every individual to one another. Everything that we covet, everything that we long for, everything that we fear not having boils down to these three things. So basically, everything that you buy connects to love, death, and time. So let's start there. Love. Love is messy, it is tricky, it is wonderful. And when writing for the reader, do take into account where you're writing keywords such as intimacy, belonging, connection. Love isn't limited to one person to another. It could be a person to a group of individuals. It could be to family. And for those of you who have read the marketing magazine, love isn't limited to just people. It is people to pets. So if you've read my bio, you would know that I have a dog in Australia. Oop, missing slide. But I have a dog in Australia. We're missing a slide, but that's okay. I'll share you a photo later on. He's basically a King Charles Cavalier, and when you go to some cafes, they essentially have something called a Puppuccino. It's basically a coffee for dogs. So it's not made out of coffee. It's basically lactose intolerant free milk. And as a pet owner, I really love my dog, so I give him a glass of Puppuccino. He gives me a smile at the end of the day, and that's essentially one way that people sell to me as a pet owner the love for a pet or the love for people. For those of you who have clients in the hospitality industry, the biggest month in the entire year of any cafe, restaurant, whatever it may be, is February because it is the month of love. People have so much margin of profit because they're able to run so many campaigns, so many marketing stunts, uh, all in the name of love. It can be just reconnecting with family, a spark with a new lover, or something like that. But essentially, when writing for the reader, keep in mind love. Second, let's talk about death. Everyone in this room, no matter what you may tell me, or everyone outside the room, or anywhere on this planet, we all fear death. At one point or another, you're gonna come across it. I mean, I stand across here and see a room full of great individuals, and you're not that old, so I think time's farther than that. But when writing for the reader, death comes very important because, like for me, unfortunately, I lost a grandmother a few years back. She was really close to us, and we did everything that we could to basically prolong her life. That might be through getting a second opinion for lung cancer, a third opinion, a fourth opinion, alternative medicine, doing everything that we can, spending resources, just because connecting again to love, we love our grandmother, so we want to prolong her life. So that's, if you have clients in the medical industry, you should be looking into how to write for death, because everyone fears death at one point or another. And do take that in mind when writing for those types of readers. I know some gyms take into account if you run a mile a day, you'll be able to prolong your life. So again, another way to keep death at bay. Third, from the existential triangle, is time. Time is the most scarce resource on this planet. But some people are more fortunate than others because they're able to use other resources, such as money, to be able to extend, quote unquote, extend time. I could be running a luxury jet service, private jet service, and I could be marketing to any of you that, hey, I know that the commercial airline exists, there's first class, business class, but you have to go through the hassle of going through the airport. I mean, who wants that? You might be able to save an extra hour going to Dubai to be able to close a business deal, which would bring more business into your business and save you more time. So ultimately, we might cost more money at the first part, but you might be able to make more in the end. So when writing for the reader, you might be marketing for time, ways to extend time. So as the famous song goes from Rent, we only have 525,600 minutes in a year. Each minute, each second is precious to everyone. So how we spend that time, whether we use resources to prolong it, is one way you can write for the reader to be able to sell more products or services to your clients. On to the second part. So there's traditional writing versus new writing. Traditional writing, most of you might know, would be creative writing, so poems, novels, books. But at Pixels and Metrics, we actually categorize anything on the more long-winded form, anything longer than 5 minutes, to be part of traditional writing. So that includes blogs, emails, and other various types. I'm not saying that any of you do it, but there are some marketing agencies out there that give this really long-winded forms of emails where it takes more than 5 minutes to read. If you're familiar with the acronym TLDR, too long didn't read, that's one of the things we're trying to avoid at Pixels and Metrics because Attention spans of people have dwindled over the past decade. I mean, if you go on YouTube, if you're going to place an ad, you have 5 seconds to capture the attention of someone before they skip it, right? So what is new writing? New writing at Pixels and Metrics includes headlines, hashtags, social bios. Social bios might be on Instagram. I think our social bio is we are a creative boutique for small to medium enterprises. The social bios is basically even what you write on, let's say, online dating platforms. Let's take into account Tinder, Hinge, Bumble. To take someone's attention, not just through photos, but writing a good bio is one way you can connect to other people and how you can also do it in business. That way, through Instagram, through LinkedIn, or other things, you only have a very short headline to capture people's attention. It's just the hook to get them in to look into you more. You don't have to put so much information of whatever you do. You just need them to be curious enough to take a look at you. Now, I might go against my own saying because you might be wondering, why is script writing up there? Script writing or screenwriting, I believe, is the very future of marketing. A very bold statement, but even if it could be a few pages long, it basically distills into a 30-second ad, a 1-minute video, again, basing on the rule of pixels and metrics, anything less than 5 minutes. So to go into that, why do we think traditional writing is the old way of writing? There's so much information out there again. The internet has become so powerful, so accessible to every corner of the planet that everyone is a website designer, everyone is a marketer, everyone is able to publish their own thing, do their own photos, do their own videos. If I were to Google how to be a digital marketer in this day and age, I'd receive millions and millions of results on Google, hundreds and hundreds of hours on YouTube. And if I were to go through all that, like the previous speaker yesterday mentioned, 6 months down the line, that's all going to be obsolete, or you have to relearn everything again. I think that's the advantage of pixels and metrics despite being so young, because we're able to learn very quickly. And I encourage everyone to keep up to date. Aside from all that information, I believe we are a generation that is so easily distracted, also thanks to the pandemic. I mean, I could be working from home, because work from home is gonna be the new normal, guys. And working from home, there can be so many distractions. My dog could be there barking at me. For those of you who have kids, you might be thinking, oh, I need to get some work done, but someone needs some food, someone needs to take care of everyone else in the family. And I mean, if I was in the office, it would be hard for me to just go downstairs and to just go buy a pack of chocolate, even if I'm just hungry for chocolate. I'd be lazy to I have no time for that. But if I was working from home, chocolate is just in the drawer. I can just stand up from my desk, walk to the kitchen, take it from the drawer, eat it, and then I think, oh, I think I need something salty now. So I have a new snack, go on, it goes on and on. I watch a few Netflix. But that's where I see the beauty of how everyone else have been working in the digital industry, where you work with remote teams, wherein you just set deadlines with your team and you allow that flexibility. As long as they're able to meet those deadlines, then there's no problem. So, the final point of this presentation, pixels and metric style, which is basically storytelling. Everything we do at Pixels and Metrics is storytelling. I mean, it's great that the panelists yesterday, when discussing the power of AI, said, and our research shows it too, storytelling is never going to go away. It's been there from the dawn of time, from cavemen doing drawings on their walls, to the way people tell stories to their children, and up to today. Basically, marketing is telling a good story and illuminating the products and services of your clients, yourselves, to other people. Storytelling is in pixels and metrics. Basically, every brand, every client that we have is their own hero. They are the hero of the story. And to make it easier for everyone to digest, how we do it in our company is we do this, the hero's journey. This was made by Joseph Campbell. And essentially, it's a very simple chart that you need to follow. And it basically takes everyone on a journey, no matter what brand it may be. Let's take, for example, not talk about clients. Let's talk about stories themselves. Let's take into account Harry Potter. Harry Potter lives under the staircase of his aunts and uncles, and he gets called to an adventure by Hagrid because he's a wizard. He meets his mentor, Dumbledore, and is taken to the unknown world that is magic. He has trials, he has failures, he has helpers, Ron and Hermione, basically the dynamic trio. He grows new skills and becomes an entirely different wizard, and I think in the story they take it quite literally where he has a death and rebirth, but in the hero's journey that is the death of one's old self and the rebirth of one's new self. And he's able to defeat Voldemort, the Dark Lord, and then he returns to a normal world, which is basically him raising a family with Ginny. And if J.K. Rowling writes another book, I mean, there are a few spin-offs out there. We can continue the journey of magic over there. But to take into consideration, let's say, marketing for a client, let's say a real estate company. That was really popular yesterday, so I'll take a real estate company. We had a client where their call to adventure was the pandemic. So they've been doing things as a normal real estate company would, but in the pandemic, they had to cross a threshold. So they didn't have an online presence, and unfortunately for them, they lost quite a bit of revenue. But then they came to us and we told them, hey, you really need to look at online. So we did virtual tours for them, we gave them a website, we gave them social presence, and now they're able to reach a whole new different market. It's not limited to the Philippines. It's not limited to the locality they're in. They can market to more overseas workers, international clients, those who want to take a look into the locality and really sell to the world. And that became their new normal, basically. So it's not just the local market now, it's the world. And that's basically the presentation, but I think we have a few minutes, so let me just quickly summarize. The Existential Triangle, secrets, love, death, and time. Traditional is anything that's 5 minutes that takes to read. Do try to avoid it. In our opinion, we think the new thing would be script writing because videos has really taken the market by storm. I mean, look at TikTok. Everyone is marketing through TikTok now. It's not that big in the Philippines, but it's really growing into quite its own platform. I mean, it's quite expensive, to be honest, but maybe with all the competition going on, it will become lower costs in the future. Plus, there's blockchain technology, so there might be decentralized ways to really cut down the cost. Pixels and metric style is basically storytelling. And since we have a couple more minutes, let us go into 3 bonus slides. So more examples in action. So don't just take our word for it. Apple is doing it. They've been doing this for a couple years since Steve Jobs, God rest his soul. They had an ad called Detour by Michael Gondry, which is basically a short video of a tricycle finding its way back to its original owner, which was shot on an iPhone 7 Plus. Now, the iPhone 7 Plus wasn't, I mean, it was great, but for filmmaking, not so much. But it opened the possibility of people being able to make their own films, their own content on the phone. They didn't need these high-end digital cameras that are taking this wonderful live stream today. And open the possibility, this is why influencers are such a big thing now, because of the possibilities of what smartphones are able to give us in the hand of our pocket. I'm not sure if it was the biggest sale out there, but they were able to make a successful campaign because of this. Aside from Apple, the biggest storyteller out there, that would be Disney. No other company does it better, I believe, and they are the biggest out there. They're everywhere. And let's take into account Marvel, because Disney is so many things. Let's just take a small slice, which is still a pretty big slice of the pie. The Marvel Cinematic Universe. They started Iron Man back in 2008. And from there, they started making other movies, TV shows, a full streaming service. Disney Plus would not be Disney Plus without the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They have all the other movies out there, but with the pandemic, more people are eager to switch or include Disney Plus to the platforms that they watch, simply because it has their favorite Marvel movie. Personally, for me, Iron Man was by far the best. But aside from that, Disney doesn't make their money, the bulk of their money actually comes from merchandising. Merchandising in the sense that they're able to sell toys, they're able to sell props, they're able to sell a whole new theme park themed in Marvel's glory. They're able to sell, restaurants are able to sell, I've seen a Thanos face on a cake, which makes no sense to me. But they're able to sell it at a premium price just because it's it sells. I mean, it's part of Marvel. I mean, there's some people who are diehard fans of Thanos, and it sells. And if it's able to make money, then it isn't wrong now, isn't it? Still a few more minutes, so let's go through the story of pixels and metrics. Now, some of you might be surprised, but we're actually just over a year old. That doesn't discount the fact that some of us, well, the entire team has a average cumulative experience maybe around 20 years. But maybe it might come as a surprise to some of you that we're just over a year old. Now, their journey started back in the Philippines in a very small office, about 20 square meters wide, with myself, Kurt, he is our web designer, Precious, our social media expert, and basically we had partners from around the globe to help us, like mentors, counselors, to help us really grow the business. And then we started to grow. We opened Pixels and Metrics USA, the IT security branch, all the way based in Atlanta. We had Brennan, who joined us in the Philippines, training to be our assistant manager. We had Daesol Kim. He's all the way in South Korea as our sales intern. So trying to learn how to do the business even all the way from South Korea. We had Danny, who was basically our content writer, doing writing for our website, for our blogs, for anything longer than 5 minutes. Then we had Rafael, who had over 35 years experience in the industry for IT and marketing. So he was our main guy for app development, actually. Then we had Emily, who was down under in Sydney, Australia. She was our graphics designer, and she actually designed our very beautiful logo. I don't have it on the screen, but it's there in your magazines. And basically, we were on a great trajectory until Delta happened. So the pandemic was still happening, but Delta really took it way really far. And lockdowns happened again. So the team had problems getting to the office. We couldn't connect with some of our clients back in Australia because they had lockdowns too, so they had no business. So we had to postpone everything to this year, actually. So I might be visiting Australia. And to those who are on the live stream, I might be visiting you too. So from there, we really had to reconsider everything again. We had to close down the office. We had to work from home. This is Brennan from her home office. To the right is Emily's setup down in Sydney, always having a coffee. we had Kurt, who is a new father raising a family of one. Her name is Kiona. So basically, pandemic actually really worked for him because he had to work from home. So he could watch his child and still do the work, which was really, really nice. But unfortunately, even then, collaborative, creative teams, I believe some face-to-face is still necessary. So even when we received the email for marketing conference, again, thank you to the organizers. If we can give them a quick round of applause once more, because it's still the pandemic, and they were able to organize this lovely event. And cross borders, I mean, I've met people from all around the world, and that's really amazing. But even when we received the email, we were still working from home. So this was the very moment I received the email from marketing conference, and this is my parents' dining room, right beside the bar. But don't worry, I'm not an alcoholic. Um, but sometimes it helps. Um, but basically, that was our situation then, working from home, and we had to really think about uh, having a new office. Like we needed to come together as a team again. That way we can really collaborate and really strike things out. So on our new journey, we opened our sister company because we found a space that was really, really nice, but it was way too big for just the marketing company. So to put the dream forward, we opened a co-working cafe. The co-working cafe is basically to help collaborate with other small businesses who might be doing marketing. It could be food, it could be anything of the sort. But basically, the co-working cafe acts as a launchpad for any other startups in our area. So those include new team members like Kate, who's on the far left, who is our admin assistant. Kurt's still with us. Myself, and we already have an in-house barista. So if you want some coffee as a team member of Pixels and Metrics, you can get not just a brewed coffee, but any latte with some really nice art to really brighten up your day. And this is basically our office at the mezzanine level of the neutral space. And we have a few new tech as well as there. So we have a few new services that are not yet advertised because we're still testing them out. But basically, our team is ready for more. And yeah, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. I know I do ask the other speakers a lot of questions. So, and for those, I'm so sorry. My plan, I think this was a discussion yesterday, plan A, was having a digital business card that I could tap on your phone and you'd receive all my details. My plan B was physical business cards, but as rightly said yesterday, you only plan for plan A. This is my plan C. Plan C. Okay, well, plan C is not working too. Anyways.
Does anyone have any questions in the audience for Wilson? I'm so glad that you brought in Marvel. I'm a massive Marvel fan. Like, huge. I was hanging out at Comic-Con a couple of weeks ago with Michael Rooker, Charlie Cox, and Ming-Na Wen. Awesome. So, yeah, she's got the Disney trifecta of Mulan, Star Wars, and Marvel, of course. Amazing. Fantastic.
I should have come here earlier.
Well, we'll try and get it here again. It was interesting what you were saying about script writing, traditional versus new ways of doing it, because I have to write a lot of scripts. I was doing one for a very big fashion brand recently for a short presentation video, and I think people are still stuck in the old way of writing, and they don't understand the way, particularly social media works these days. It's all about the salacious headline, the clickbait, the attention-grabbing thing that's going to hook your audience in. Because how many times do we see on social media, particularly with news outlets, and they have to come up with literally a clickbait headline to get people to actually read the rest of the article. So I think the way that we write things has to change a lot. It has changed a lot.
Yes, certainly. Especially nowadays where video is just everywhere. I mean, you can even see it on YouTube. There are some people who basically copy each other's headlines. The same, even the thumbnails has to be well thought out of, because those are some people click on not because of the headline, but because of the thumbnail. I mean, it's such a different world to market right now that you have to consider so many possibilities.
And creative writing, something we desperately need here. We've been fighting for it for 20 years, still hasn't happened, unfortunately, but yeah, we'll get there. But Wilson, of course, will be around during our coffee breaks if you have any questions. Wilson, great chat, great session, really enjoyed that. Thank you so much.